isn't YouTube banning AI channels? If you've been on Twitter at all, right, you'll see posts like this, right? YouTube's AI terminated 19 channels every single minute in 2025. There are a bunch of channels that are being demonetized, that are being terminated, that are being taken off YouTube. And if you go to websites like this, algro.online/terminated channels, it will show you all of the big terminated channels right now, right? With, how many subscribers they have, the channel being terminated, and you can literally see and track, right, all of the different channels that are being terminated right here. But one of the things that you'll notice in common with all of these channels is that all of them are either news-based, and because they're news-based, they are AI slop, right? All of the thumbnails are just, generative AI. It looks super duper AI, and there's nothing authentic feel about it. And that's probably a big reason of why these channels got very terminated in the first place, because a lot of this content that you'll see is actually inauthentic content, and because the content is inauthentic, YouTube doesn't want it on their platform. It's just AI slop. Whereas if you take the idea of AI and you use it to create slop, it's inevitable that YouTube won't want that actual content on their platform. Whereas if you were to take a more holistic approach and try to approach YouTube from a human point of view and think about, hey, how can I automate a lot of these human tasks and create high quality content with an AI that understands YouTube ideation, with an AI that understands my voice, what the best storytelling principles are, and then you can take, a script that usually takes you 8 hours to write and turn that process into something that AI can write in just 20 minutes and can probably write better than you because it understands the exact process there. So you want to always be asking yourself, are you using AI the smart way? Because there are lots and lots of people there who use AI, right? Even your grandpa, right? Your dad is using AI right now, but he might not be using it to the highest capacity that he can, right? Because he is misusing it, right? He's using it to write a full essay. And then when he goes to school, he goes to university, it gets absolutely wrecked because they have these AI detectors right now. And that's not using AI the smart way. That is using AI the dumb way, right? So before I can teach you exactly how to use all of these different tools that we use for script writing, ideation, thumbnails, I want to give you the exact frameworks on how to think about using AI. Because if you don't actually have the frameworks, you won't be able to use it properly, right? Anyone can give you this long prompt library, but if you don't actually put it to good use, you're never going to create any good content, and very likely your channel is going to get banned. And by the way, if you want this entire slide deck where I go over exactly how to grow with AI, click the link in the description and I'll send it right to your inbox. Anyways, you want to think about AI as your assistant, not your replacement. AI is an intern, okay? An intern can do multiple menial tasks, but what an intern isn't capable of doing, an intern is incapable of driving business strategy. An intern is incapable of driving your entire YouTube content strategy. Why is that the case? It's because AI doesn't actually have enough context right now on what are the main levers inside your business, right? The way that you want to think about AI is that literally it just plops out one word and it plops out another word and plops out another word, right? According to what is most likely to give you the best answer. That is how all of these models are trained. So you want to think about AI as an intern for you, that it can do multiple of these menial tasks, but an intern cannot replace strategy, right? You still have to understand the strategy on your own, the YouTube strategy, the thumbnail strategy, the content strategy, and it cannot replace creative work, right? So it can do writing, but you need to give it an angle, right? You need to point it in a certain direction. If you just tell it, hey, right, produce a full script for me, it's not going to be able to produce a full script for you. Why is that the case? Because if you don't give it any context and you don't give it any direction, what ChatGPT and Claude is trained on is all of these different articles on Reddit, all of these different YouTube videos. And because 99% of the Reddit articles out there, or 99% of the YouTube videos out there are actually not written well, right? The average human doesn't actually produce well-written content. And when you have a chatbot that is trained on all this poorly written content and you ask it to create creative work, it just won't be able to create creative work. Whereas you, as the orchestrator, if you're able to point it in the right direction, then the AI will actually be able to do work in your favor and do some of that creative output, although not all of it. So think of AI as an intern or an assistant, not your complete replacement. So what I use AI for? I use AI for research, right? AI is really great for research, right? There's a bunch of things that you can ask it that, our human tiny puny brains aren't able to compute. There are tools like Perplexity right now, right? That is able to, search all of these different articles, pool multiple different research sources onto one place. And Perplexity honestly is really great tools, and really Perplexity is one of those really great tools that can give you science-backed studies. It can read research papers, and then you can use those studies from those research papers and turn them into actual YouTube videos. Number 2, outlining and first drafts. So Claude, ChatGPT, or Subscriber AI, or any of these tools are really great at outlining or creating the first draft, so that it creates your entire skeleton, so that you can kind of give it the direction from there. But if you just generate a first draft and then you're like, hey, create a full script for me, and then you don't give it any direction other than that, then the full script won't actually be very good. So you also want to think about, hey, once I outline the entire script of AI, how can I turn it into a full script? And then the next part, ideation and brainstorming, right? So if you are able to train AI on some of the YouTube best practices, what are the best outliers out there, how to actually think about ideation, which I'm going to train all of you on today, then you'll be able to tell AI directly, hey, I want the videos ideated in this way, or I want videos brainstormed in this way. And any repetitive task, and if you want speed. So once again, think of it as your assistant, and it can help you do any repetitive task that you have on hand. And equally as important to understand what to use AI for, you have to understand what not to use AI for. So you don't want AI to come with your unique perspective, because your unique perspective is your unique perspective. You cannot get AI to generate, hey, what do you think that I think about World War II? Unless you train the AI on thousands of words of yours, right? Books that you've written, or conversations that you've had, calls that you had, right? Documents that you've had. Only then can you ask it for your unique perspective. But if you haven't trained it even one little bit on your unique perspective, you can't expect it to spit out, your actual beliefs, because then it will just create some mumbo jumbo there. Any original stories and experiences, right? The same goes for that. Number 3, any strategic decisions, right? If you are trying to make an entire content shift, you can ask AI what its opinion is, but the opinion may be unfounded depending on the actual training data for the AI. So you want to be able to give it the right training data. So if you're trying to make strategic decisions for your YouTube channel, the chatbot that you actually ask it needs to be trained on a bunch of strategic decisions that you've historically made, or experts have historically made, right? And nowadays you can train chatbots on crazy amount of things, and I'm going to show you how I've trained my own chatbot to consult me on YouTube with some of my own best practices that I might have forgotten. Number 4, understanding your audience deeply. So understanding your audience, super duper important, right? Because all of your content starts with your audience, right? You need to understand what your audience wants, what your audience does not want, what are their pain points, what do they get excited by, what stresses them out, what keeps them up at night, right? If you're able to understand your audience on a much deeper level, you'll be able to create much more compelling content that's able to bring out an emotion from them. But if you don't understand your audience deeply, right, like most people don't, right, you're going to create content that is not as targeted. And previously, when you were doing research on your audience, you would have to go to Reddit, you would have to talk to customers, you have to scrape all of these different YouTube data, look at your competitors, what is the different copy that your competitors are using, and then you go and create your content. But really, the problem with that is that it just takes way too long. And really, with tools like, once again, with Perplexity or with ChatGPT or with Claude, it can vastly simplify that process, which I'm super duper grateful for. And the last one being you. You cannot use AI to be you, because you are you, and you are completely unique and special as you are. So do not use AI for that to replace your unique thinking. And the most important thing to understand about AI is that AI's capabilities are expanding, right? AI is just expanding at an exponential growth. Right now, there are tools that can edit your videos completely just with AI, and it's absolutely crazy what it can do. So it is super duper important that you're able to adapt to all of these different changes with AI. It's super important that you keep up to date with all of the different tools, right? Being communities, being networks, where they are actively using these tools and testing out these tools, and then you can go ahead and actually play around with these tools on your own. Because if you don't take advantage of AI, eventually AI will take advantage of you. That sounds kind of wrong, but what I meant to say is that AI will take over you and it will replace your job, not that AI will take advantage of you.